it's like gummy bears, and in the middle it's a bit of sour something. So it's really dangerous. But if you put it out, it's passive. I really feel it. Yeah, just grab one, take one with you. Those things are amazing. It's great to have you back on stage, and before I go again and ask questions, I of course ask the audience and ask your escort if they have questions. Don't they look amazing, ladies and gentlemen? Woo! Yeah. So any questions from you? Again, my usual question, you know that, right?
Hi again. I was wondering, what were some of the most difficult aspects of doing your roles?
For me, it was probably getting into the outfit. I needed 2 people to help me to get my boots on because the costume was so tight. I couldn't down and touch, grab my feet. And then I had full eye contacts in when my eyes were red. It was not just CGI. So seeing in front of you was impossible, and all you got was the blurry edges to be able to navigate. So that was probably the biggest challenge, is just trying not to worry about the shit in your eyes. But not nearly as bad as somebody else here, I imagine.
Yeah. So same Shawn costume, tight, corset at the back, and a hot silicone base, so it was like burning a garbage bag for 16, sometimes 16 hours a day. Yeah, didn't breathe, and just limited mobility, so having to move around and kind of move like you don't have a costume on, but you still had to deal with a mobility issue and heat, losing all your liquids from sweating so much. Yeah, but well worth it. And as much as I look back, and it was kind of painstaking to think about some of the stuff I had to do, I thought it was
Please, anybody, make something up.
Well, I think that's my job then, to come up with more questions. That's no problem for me. Shawn, you play Albert Wesker, and you are Conan, the leader of Umbrella Corporation. And when you came to Resident Evil, it wasn't the first time, so you were kind of knowledgeable about Resident Evil. So have you watched it before, or was it completely new to you?
Well, some of the original films were filmed in the city that I live in, so there was rumors throughout the crews of those movies. There's some buildings that we use that are pretty iconic in the city, and so anyway, just talking with the other crew and learning about the movies, being a fan of them, because there's a few movies that come from my country that are globally recognized, and not that it's a Canadian film, but we just happen to film there. I forgot the question as I started to trail off on random fucking thoughts. I'm sorry.
It was just about how much did you know prior to shooting Resident Evil about?
Right. So just as much as anybody else. I mean, I watched the movies just like you, and then I played the games just like everybody else, and I just happened to be the lucky one who was the guy. So, yeah, I never went full depth into, comic books and everything else. Like, it was pretty much whatever the...
And you had the chance to reprise your role several times. Was it different then to come back for the next part than compared to stepping into that role for the first time?
One of the biggest challenges is that in some of the movies I have more dialogue than anybody else because I have these long-winded speeches. And to show up on set and have all of these other quote-unquote movie stars and models and shit, and I'm the guy who does all the talking, but I'm here for, 2 weeks. Yet they were in the entire film, so a lot of my stuff was compressed. So it wasn't sort of getting into rhythm of this entire big thing. You just show up, do your shit, and get out. So I can't speak too much about what it was like being there because my time was very brief.
Yeah, so that's what shooting is like, right? I will ask you the same question. I did that yesterday, but with your role in the development of your character, if you could change something, would you have done something differently?
The only thing I would have changed is being killed by a door. Really? That's how you're going to kill the best supervillain that you got, by a slow-moving door? But whatever, that's the thing I changed.
Tragedy, right?
Yeah.
Brennan, do you agree?
No comment.
Yeah, that was not a heroic fate, that moment. For you, character development of your character, I mean, for the first watchers, it came as a surprise who you actually were. And how was it for you then? Watching the movie or getting to know the whole storyline? Did you like that development, being Matt? Or was it more like, oh, no, let me be just the evil guy?
Well, full disclaimer, between the original Matt and my character, there really didn't have to be any sort of, other than the fact that it was him, until the fight scene where there was a bit of a moment where Alice kind of realized it was me, and ended up turning on, being the evil entity. There really didn't have to play it that way, because I was just a killing machine up to that point. I'll be honest, I hadn't seen the first movie when I got cast for this role. I didn't know a lot about the franchise. I got brought out because of my experience in the industry, and I kind of fit the bill for what they were looking for. And then after I got the part, I did my part, did a bit of research to find out a little bit about the first installment. There only been one at that point in time on the movie side. I didn't do a deep dive in the video game side because, this is the year 2004, and video games weren't as mainstream as they are now. They were still popular with what they are now. So I did what I could. And as far as development, there was a lot to do inside that costume, other than kind of take direction and kill a lot of people. So the moment with Alice, though, there was that piece of the movie which I think they portrayed well, and that would be the piece that would be, kind of what you were alluding to, as far as what it was before I became the Nemesis. I think everybody watching the movie knew who I was, but I wasn't playing it that way. I was just able to kind of create havoc.
You already mentioned your costume, and that it was maybe a bit more painful to get into that than for you. But were there any scenes where that costume really was pain in the whatsoever for you acting out?
Yeah, I guess I'll equate it to women who give birth. They probably swear right after they do it they'll never have another child, but yet they end up having 3 or 4 in some instances. So it's kind of like that. It was painstaking 20 years ago, 20 years removed. Like I said earlier, I would do it again tomorrow, just because it was, especially looking back retrospectively, such an amazing franchise to be part of. And why wouldn't I want to keep building on that? Obviously, if there's production shoots you do where they ask you to do stunts and stuff like things that, most normal people frown at, you kind of have to do what you got to do. And part of this business sometimes is being uncomfortable and putting your neck on the line a little bit, within reason. There have been times where I refuse to do things, but those are far and few between. Usually do what you're asked to do, and that's being uncomfortable sometimes is part of the industry. So, but well worth it at the end. And again, looking back, it's all potatoes. So I'm sitting here right now. I wouldn't be here otherwise. So that's all worth it.
And as we can see, you both, and you mentioned that yesterday, that the physical part is for some roles really important to get them. And well, you're in very good shape, so how do you keep that? You must put a lot of effort in that. I mean, I just know from my failure in the gym. So therefore, could you tell us a bit about that? So have you got like daily routines to keep it that way? Because I think your agencies and other movies, they were looking at a specific time in you to get you into other movies, other roles. So
I'll jump on that. Yeah, I mean, I finding that that's becomes more struggle as you get older, and you need longer to recuperate from injuries. But I could probably thank the industry for keeping the mindset that I've had. And what are the two things, Shawn?
Consistency and intensity.
Two things: consistency, intensity. If you can maintain those two pieces, I think anybody can achieve fitness and maintain it.
For me, I've been an actor my entire life, so really all I ever do is hand over control to everybody else and do what they say, stand on the mark, say the words they tell me to mark and say. And so working out, being active, that's one thing that I get to control. That's one thing that I count on myself. And it's actually been a struggle because my agents don't want me to have the physicality. They'd rather me be Joe everybody. And that's not what I got into this business for. I got into blow shit up and kick ass. And no skinny bitches doing that. So I spend 2 hours a day, 7 days a week in the gym, going for it. It's my social club, it's my therapy, it is everything that is solid and reliable in my life. You gotta do it for your 8-year-old self because you're not gonna have a chance to after the fact. And it's been shown to be the single best thing for your health is weightlifting. So I suggest everybody, while you still can move, go and do something.
Yeah.
So that's our fitness tip for today.
Good guys.
Yeah. So I read somewhere that your idols came from a physique like that, right? Could you tell us a bit about your childhood idols and?
Well, growing up, I think I was about 7 when Conan the Barbarian came out and started watching that. And so, if you're gonna pick a hero, why not pick the best? And so, yeah, it's been a lifelong struggle to try and gain weight to have the size that you want to emulate. I'll never get there, but it's worth trying. So, watching Jean-Claude Van Damme do his spinning back kicks and just dudes that were kicking ass, and that's sort of what was the motivation, is you want to be in line with that, and then you get to a certain age and you realize, well, shit, I'm bigger than they were. Well, all right, this is cool, I made it. So it's been a good trip.
And a lot of discipline, what you just said behind that, that might be helpful in the business as well, is it? So what you take from sports that back into acting, did it help that? Or is it helpful to have this attitude of being persistent and
Yeah, I think it's just confidence as well, and it comes from just feeling good about yourself. And to sum it up, I would say just that. The better you feel about yourself, outwardly you're gonna project confidence and pick up on that energy. So and just being able to move and look the part. So I think we talked about it yesterday. Everybody was here yesterday. Just a lot of the stuff parts I've gotten were based on my look, and that. True in a lot of instances for actors. So whether your look is muscular, short, tall, skinny, whatever it is, that's my bread and butter. So that's what I alluded to earlier. That's the industry has kind of kept me in that frame of mind of having to look a certain way, and that's that consistency I've been fortunate enough to maintain.
So if you then could choose a role that you could play in either a remake that is maybe not planned or a movie that you watched before, so what would that be?
For me, getting back into X-Men. So Wolverine is supposed to be a short, jacked Canadian and not some tall, singing Aussie. So anyway, I'd love to be Wolverine. Kick, smash, shred some shit. I don't know, or Conan, or I just want to be shirtless for an entire fucking movie and be jacked and be awesome. And then my 8-year-old self will be happy. So that's what I'm going for.
Okay, Wolverine playing the wolf in Red Riding Hood. Okay, I see the theme. Continue. You made up your mind?
Yeah, kind of stole my Schwarzenegger. I mean, I grew up in that same generation and watching the same, big time actors. definitely it'd be nice to follow in his footsteps, be it Terminator or some role along those lines. Conan, I don't quite have the Conan body on what's that, but yeah, something along those lines for sure. And Arnold-ish type role.
And no one would ever have imagined that Schwarzenegger became iconic, right? And now it's so cool to pursue his footsteps. So yeah, looking around again for some fun questions. There in the back row. Sitzt denn was weit?
So my question is to Shawn. It's viewers. A lot of people see Wesker as a super villain, as you already told. So you spoke about also that he's a super villain. But if you look a little bit closer, so we can see that he's not that typical villain because he thinks that he's a hero. So he saved the world. Have you ever think about it during the acting that he's not just a typical villain, but or it was just a streamline acting, so he's a whole bad guy, or have you ever think about the character?
You know, I don't think it's too much of a stretch to believe that the people in power want to use that power. And so whether or not he's doing something wrong or something right, he believes he's doing the right thing. So I don't know. I can't speak too much on backstory. I just say the words that they want me to say and say it in a way that makes sense, convincing, I guess. Yeah, I guess I never really thought of him in that vein, right?
I heard today that we shouldn't then call them villains, but anti-heroes, because that is the character. It's a hero not knowing about, and not just a villain. So you're an anti-hero, not a villain.
I see. All right. I don't do PC shit, sorry.
Okay, I would have to question what is your favorite item? If it's a movie, a video game, or maybe a piece of merchandise from Resident Evil.
You know what? Someone came to my table once with a bust of the Nemesis, and it was phenomenal. It might as well have been the actual OG original, but it was obviously a replica, and it was hard, heavy. Bringing it up the car, it was incredible. So that's something I'd love to get my hands on. That's something that first thing came to mind when you asked that question. I've been fortunate to collect props along the way from different movies or pieces of costume. I didn't bring a lot home from Resident Evil because I think they, at that time, knew the franchise was going to continue, and they held on to stuff not knowing what would be, what it might be used for in the future. I know someone has the Nemesis costume now with her. Yeah, that would be probably the most kind of special thing that comes to mind of something I've seen that someone brought into a show and had me sign. So it was quite something. It's on my Instagram somewhere, buried deep at this point, but yeah, really cool. Lifelike. I mean, it was massive. Houston. I think it was a Houston show we did. Yeah.
And at this show, somebody custom built some push pops for Wesker, so that's pretty cool. I've never seen one of those dolls yet, but I hear they're being made. There's always some cool DVDs that you never know about that show up. And then as far as bringing anything home from the movie, in the last one, the final chapter, I was like, listen, I'm taking these sunglasses, I don't give a fuck. So I did. As far as the suits and stuff, I ended up taking one of the Armani suit home. The villain suit would just sit in my closet, really didn't serve a purpose, so I was like, you might as well put it on auction and sell it, so who cares? So yeah, I didn't take anything because you paid me well. I'm not going to start stealing things from the set. Build a collection. So yeah, that's generally frowned upon.
I actually have a question on behalf of Scotty, well, it's my best friend. He dared me to ask you, Shawn, if you could say one of the most famous lines from the games. You will give me an egg. And for Matt, if you could say stars.
No. Sorry, Scotty. No. I'm not living in that world. I don't have it sort of at the edge of my tongue. And if I did it right now, I'd embarrass myself. But sorry.
Do my best. Stars.
That was good.
We only have time for one final question. What about you, brothers? No? Is there anything you would like to know from the German audience and fans?
You know what? Nothing comes to mind, but thank you everyone for. I know I sound a lot more than the people that are sitting in front of me right now, but I've had a great time in Germany, and it's been a great venue, and the people have been very friendly, easy to talk to, and yeah, we've had a great time. So thank you.
We have to thank you. So, everybody, that was our Resident Evil panel. If you want to hear more, just drop by there around the corner at their booth. I'm more than happy to sign for you. So therefore, thank you very much for being here, Shawn Roberts and Matthew G. Taylor.
Woo!
I'm taking that.